Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. We're presented and hosted by Highlands, Stop Your Cramp, Not Your Race, and by Polar, Chase Your Destiny. With us, the 2015 Boston Marathon champion, Caroline Rotich, along with her coach, Mr. Ryan Bolton. How are you both doing?
Good.
Great.
Good.
I think this is 3 years in a row. This is great.
It is.
We forgot our Hawaiian shirts this year.
What are you thinking,
next
Ryan?
year, full on Hawaiian.
Totally Hawaiian. Totally Hawaiian. So, Carol, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Everything has been going well, so I'm looking forward to Monday.
And you're looking forward to the swim portion. It could be a little wet on Monday.
Yeah, it sounds look like that, but I'm prepared for that too.
Well, you guys are in New Mexico. You probably see all sorts of different weather.
Yeah, we do, but Santa Fe doesn't have like that much rain. It's early, like right now, but it's gonna be cool.
So let's go back to the 2015 race. So Ryan, how long had you been coaching Carol before that race?
I think we were probably going on about 6 years at that point. Yeah,
6 years.
Yep.
And won a couple marathons, but this Boston obviously is the biggie. And on that day, did you have a feeling that Carol was ready for a great one?
Yeah, but honestly, a lot of races before that where I felt like she had the potential to be in that position. She was always really close, and that day it was kind of like going into one of those races. I always knew that she could win it, but on that day it all came together.
Well, and what's interesting to me is when you have a race that comes down to 4 seconds, where you've been racing for 25 and a half miles, and now you have to think about you have to start playing tactics. Did you work on that, Ryan, in practice of, okay, this race could come down to this, and how do you play tactics at the end of a marathon?
Yeah, we do. Boston is such a racer's race, and so you have to be prepared for multiple different scenarios. It never plays out the same way here. So that's one scenario that we were ready for, and in fact, we were just talking about it this morning. I said, this year she's ready for every potential situation because it does play out, differently every year, and that year it was. We were just walking down the starting line in that last corner where you turn onto Boylston Street, which is about where she started breaking away. And I said, this is where, and she was like, yeah, it looks so far. So she actually came around that corner that year and was like, wait, I've got a little ways to go. And she backed off for a second.
Yeah. What were you, because when you come on to Boylston, it's still a long way to go, right? As you found out.
I find out after I turn around, and I was like, because in my mind I was like, okay, we got 26 back there in like out that bridge, and
Yes.
I was like, okay, we turn around, and then I was like, okay, so now it's time to go, and then I went so hard, and I was like, wait, where's the finish line? And I was like, oh, I think it's too early, so I pulled back a little bit, and I was like, okay, I have to recharge again and try to just like see how to get closer to the finishing so I can like sprint again.
So you're racing against Mari Dababa, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Dababa?
yes. Yes, it's
and
Mari
so it's
Dababa.
coming down. How long were you together with her? Was it the last couple miles?
The last 3 miles is when we went down to 3 people.
Yes.
Her, me, and Boozy.
Right. Yes.
And when we were there, it was kind of like, to hang on for as long as we can, and just like, try to get closer to the finishing as I can.
And when did you finally get away from her?
From Mari Dababa, I think was like, less than 10 meters, I think.
I would say, it was probably 100 meters to go, maybe. Yeah.
Where were you, Ryan, during that time?
I was standing at the finish line looking, down the finishing straight. And from that perspective, as you know, you can't tell. I mean, there's two people and they're running like this. And her agent was standing with me and he was like, she's in the lead. Maybe she's not in the lead. She's in the lead. He's like, what's going on? And really, honestly, I didn't know the moment until basically she broke the tape. So,
You're saying 100 meters to go, but to me, it felt like I knew that when I crossed that finish line, like, okay, it's not her now.
Wow. Yeah. Now, when you win a race like Boston, how did that change your life in terms of endorsements, more people aware of who you are?
It does, because like Boston is one of the biggest races in the world, so it's kind of like a lot of people watch it, a lot of people like pay attention about it, so it's kind of like change on that wise. But at normal life, like training and normal other stuff, it's kind of like try to stay the same.
how did that change things for you, Ryan? Because now you're the coach of a Boston Marathon champion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always good just because it's years of work that finally pays off. You see that, and like, winning a race like this, it does take years to get there. So, it takes a lot of people, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I mean, we have a big team around us too. I mean, it's not just me. We have physiotherapists, we have nutritionists, we have friends, we have pacers, we have so many people. Yeah.
How many people are involved with the Harambee project?
Well, I mean, that's a loose 10,000. Ultimately, I mean, it's a giant team of just supporters and everything.
Right.
So yeah.
But in terms of your core,
right? No, I mean, there's only half dozen of us ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so you're stepping back to your career as an athlete, making the first ever Olympic triathlon team back in 2000. That was being in Sydney, which is a triathlon hotbed, for that first ever Olympic triathlon. What was that like?
I mean, it's such a surreal experience, and just Sydney, Australia is so so gung-ho with triathlon. It was the second day of the Olympics for the men, the first day for the women, and just the energy there was
the crowds
off
were
the charts.
gigantic.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like 10 deep, throughout the entire course, which is really, really impressive. I mean, it's right downtown, Sydney. So, but it was a crazy, crazy race. It was so much fun. The interesting thing as an athlete is it's just another race. You're racing
Once
the same guys that you've been racing. Exactly. Once the gun goes off, you're just going. So
right.
Yeah.
And when you finish that, and when you make the Olympic team, what's hard in the sport of triathlon is it's sort of like a what's next. Do I stick around for another Olympics? Do I really want to go double the distance or quadruple the distance? What were your thoughts?
Well, I really wanted to be in the Ironman world, so that's when I moved up and out. I mean, I probably
away.
2 days after that race, I sat down with my coach, Joe Friel at the time, and we had a good discussion about, where do I want to go next, and that was, so I think my next race probably was St. Croix in 2001, so I was instantly in the half Ironman world. So
how tough was that transition?
I loved it. So I didn't find it tough, but I really felt like the longer course racing suited my strengths more. Yeah.
Well,
And I won my first half Ironman of all time. So exactly. Yeah. So it was fun.
And when you look back at your 70.3 in Ironman experiences, what do you look back at as your best race in that?
That's really hard to say, but I won Lake Placid in 02, 03, and that race, it was one of those races where it just was effortless, and that's really unusual. I think I won by 15 minutes, and you're just off the front all day long, and so that was obviously a highlight. But there's so many memories, just so many. Yeah.
So, but making that transition was the right thing for you.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah.
And the eating and the drinking, because a lot of guys, when I've talked to Hunter Kemper, he's like, I don't want to do a race where I have to take a gel. I don't want to be thinking about eating or drinking.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed sort of all the different details.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. And I think it's really helped. I work with, professional Ironman. I have 2 guys racing in South Africa in like 8 hours, I think the race starts or something.
Yes.
But, or actually, yeah. But, it's helped with my coaching components with my pros as well, especially the Ironman level guys, because, I've been there, I know that, I feel that,
So Ben Hoffman.
That's right, yeah. He's racing South Africa, yeah.
And what have you worked with him on in terms of his running?
We've done a lot of work. Actually, he's trained with Caroline a lot, and he's such a phenomenal athlete. He's an incredibly strong, he's got a strong mind. He's got a really strong body. Him and Sebastian Kinley just did Cape Epic a couple of weeks ago, and he approached me last fall and said, do you think I should do this? And I was like, it's kind of a bucket list thing. It was an opportunity with the Ironman Foundation to do, and they did it, and so it's going to be interesting to see how he can come back from an event like that,
because like I can tell you, type of thing.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly what he said. It really was hard. Like every day, I would talk to him, and he would be like, "You don't understand. This is really hard." And coming from an Ironman, that's the real deal.
You basically did an Ironman a day.
Exactly.
For a week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he had some nutrition issues.
Yeah, he had a gut issue the entire time, and So I know, bouncing back off of something like that, going into an Ironman, it's been a challenge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So Carl, you trained a little bit with Mr. Hoffman?
Yes, we did. I went to Tucson and we had some couple.
Did you hurt him? Did you work him? Come on, Ben, pick it up.
Yeah, he's really good too, so it's kind of like pushing me, so we
No
were like
way! You're a
pushing each
250.
other, so.
Yeah, they like to beat each other up. It's a pretty fun
Is it
little.
really?
It is a pretty fun
It is.
rivalry. Yeah.
And is he saying, I want to get you on the bike? Let's get you in the water and see what happens.
I always tell him I'm gonna be sleeping and resting to get you on the next run, so.
That is very cool. Now, Carl, how has your training changed a lot leading into this Boston compared to other years? How have you adapted to, basically it's different year, different era, you got different athletes you're racing. How have you changed?
The training wise, that not changed that much. We kind of like do the same things, long run, tempo, and all that stuff. But we'll kind of like look at what was like the weakest part last time or like the last race I
Right.
did, and try to work on those stuff. Otherwise, like kind of like the same training over and over.
What do you like about this course compared to other courses?
Because it's hard, so it's kind of like it's not like those flat courses that you go from the gun-go, so this
Right,
one
where
has
it's just
like
sort of a
time
time
to just
trial,
like,
right?
yeah.
This is
so
you have to
one
race
kinda
the other
like
athletes.
race other athletes, and so
And
that's
I think that's one of her strengths is, she's a very smart runner and she's a racer. So, it's not a time trial effort here. It's like
No.
you got to play the game.
So when you won, you ran a 224.55. Is that something that's still feasible?
yeah, that it's one of those things. Every time I come back here, is looking forward to improve from time to improve from every year, because it's getting better, and just like putting more mileage every year is kind of
Right.
like just like give you time to just like get.
And Ryan, as a coach, to keep it fresh, do you change up throughout the year where we're doing long stuff now, more high?
Yeah,
high
absolutely.
intensity?
We're on a periodized schedule, so she goes through a couple cycles a year. As a marathoner, you normally run about 2 marathons a year, so we kind of have this spring peak, and then we'll have like a fall peak. And with her training, we do change things up kind of based on what she needs, and that's the great thing about working with an athlete, one-on-one. Like you can kind of, there is a general overall big game plan, but when I feel like, and I think that's a big part of it, feeling it, when you feel like
Yeah.
she needs something, else or whatever, then we'll incorporate that in for a while until we see that coming around, and then, so it's a dynamic process, and it's not, there
changes
is science,
all the
there is a
time.
formula, but there's an art to it for sure, yeah.
As an elite athlete yourself, what did you take from that has helped you with your coaching?
I really encourage my athletes to listen to their bodies.
Yes.
Obviously, there is a plan, there is a program and everything, but I really try to teach them to, be aware of what they want, what they need, what they can handle, how they're, responding to the training. I think that really being a great coach, a lot of being a great coach is making an athlete less reliant on you than more reliant on you. You know what I mean? And I think that there's kind of two philosophies there, but I try to give her the power, to understand her body and everything. And like I said, and have her completely trust me, but I completely trust her. When she says I'm tired, I believe
back
her.
off.
You bet, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how has he helped you? Not at all. Okay.
Yeah, a lot. Just like by not having coach, you wake up in the morning and go for run. You don't know if you like doing more or less, but having him as a coach is kind of like that part of like thinking what to do tomorrow or like what not to do the next day is kind of like easier on me to just like listen to my body and just like have that like, okay, I can do this one. Can I take off today? Can I don't go for the second run? So it's kind of like learning more about just like me and my body. How can I like handle the training and just like races? And
So Ryan, as somebody who obviously cross-trained for a living, have you incorporated cross-training for your runners?
Only if there's like a slight injury issue or something like that, we have to back off the running sometimes. I'll get her into the pool running,
which is awful.
Or on the bike.
Is there anything worse than running in a pool? There is nothing worse than running in a pool.
And I've tried to teach her how to swim, but we're a long ways away from that. But
swimming,
but strength training is a critical part of our training, and year-round, all the time. So so that is one cross-training thing that we do.
So you're bench pressing.
I do that.
Ryan Hall was in here yesterday. He's bench pressing 300 pounds.
Holy cow.
He weighs 180.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know that.
So what's Carol bench pressing?
Yeah.
The
probably-
bar?
What's he bench pressing?
300.
Yeah, she's at 310.
Oh, Ryan, you hear that? 310. Carol's kicking your butt. I love that.
Yeah.
So the goal, I'm assuming you wouldn't be here if you didn't think you could win the race.
Yeah, that's the goal. It's one of things that I prepare or like train every day, looking forward to have like the best race of every time. So I'm looking forward to have like a great race this.
And for you, Ryan, where will you be on race day? It's going to be pouring rain out there.
Yeah, I'll go to the start with the elites. I'll watch her go off, and then we actually wait around and watch the guys go off. And then there's a very tension-filled car ride
Yes.
back to the start line that usually we get back to the media room at about the half marathon mark, which honestly usually not very much happens in the race to that point. It's usually kind of everyone hanging
Feeling
out,
each other out.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But then from there I'll watch the race on the screen, and then hopefully she's top runner, go out to the finish line. I'll be at the finish line.
Make
with
sure
her.
you get the wreath on correctly.
That's right, exactly.
You got
yeah.
well, that's the stuff you work on in the off
That's
season.
right, yeah.
Make sure you get the wreath turned this way.
Right. Look at her fingernails, by the way, if you want. That's pretty cool. Those are Boston
you are
fingernails.
ready. Yes, you are ready for. Is this one of your favorite races?
It is for sure.
Because it is one that's hard.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
It's challenging.
There's wind, there's rain, there's conditions, there's
it's
other
both
athletes.
fun.
Yeah, so that sort of fits in.
And it's iconic. I think even growing up in Kenya, Boston is the race. You know what I mean? It's one of the biggest races. And
there's like the Olympics, there's
you bet.
Boston.
Right, yeah, for sure. And so as a Kenyan athlete, I think that, and then now that she's basically based in America year round and everything, I mean, obviously it's a huge race here too. And it's such a neat course. It's a unique atmosphere here. It's
Have
not
you
like
run
any
this,
other.
Ryan?
I've never ran this race.
What?
Nope, never. Yeah.
You're
I should
intrigued?
maybe next year.
one of
Bob,
these, maybe
we'll-
jump in.
You and me?
Yeah, we'll go for it. I like that. You can coach him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Well, as usual, thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you're ready to go kick some butt here. I'd love to see you win again
Thanks. So yeah.
and enjoy yourself. That's
Thank
the most
you.
important thing. Ryan, congrats on everything you're doing with the Harambee Project. Now, if
thanks.
people want to support the Harambee Project, can they go online?
I mean, yeah, and the biggest way to follow us is through all of our social media,
Okay.
Bolton Endurance Sports Training, which is like at Bolton Endurance on almost everything. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Ryan and Caro have been our guests again. Breakfast with Bob Boston Marathon Edition, presented and hosted by Highlands. Stop your cramp, not your race, and by Polar. Chase your destiny. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.